So Tyler is I love his brand. He's the young gun of real estate, and I appreciate it because a lot of people don't get into real estate investing until a little bit later in life. But he went for it, jumped in with both feet, and started real estate investing at a younger age, which I definitely appreciate. I love talking real estate investing with younger, more energetic people, and Tyler definitely fits that description. For those of you that follow him on social media, you've probably watched him have all kinds of awesome adventures in warm destinations, building his Airbnb portfolio. And I love the strategy. You know, it's the perfect strategy for someone who's just getting started in real estate, because one of the biggest barriers of entry to real estate is the fact that real estate is really darn expensive, and buying it requires a ton of dough. So if you want to take advantage of some of the benefits of being a real estate investor, but the investment portion of it isn't quite where you're at yet, well, Tyler's got a strategy for you that allows you to make a ton of great cash flow while simultaneously doing it in some pretty fun locations and getting to enjoy the perks of Airbnb and rental properties. So Tyler, I will let you take it away from here. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
All right. Thank you so much for the introduction, James. And hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Hassman. I have the nickname Young Gun Tyler. I'll get more into how I got that name. I'm super excited to be here. And Cindy, awesome presentation. Absolutely loved it. I love that you dived into a lot of the specifics about Airbnb because there are a lot of moving parts. It's not like a typical rental. You know, I own lots of rentals. We'll get into that where, you know, you just hand the keys to a tenant and say goodbye. You know, you got to make sure you're stocking there's so much to it. So Cindy, thank you for touching on that. That's an amazing. I love hearing your journey. And without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to hop right into it. And I hope you guys enjoy this very much. All right. So welcome, everybody. And on this presentation, I'm going to show you how to crush it in vacation rentals or Airbnbs. Now, a lot of times people are saying Airbnbs, vacation rentals, they mean the same thing, okay? The reason why I usually say, hey, how to get Airbnb properties versus vacation rentals, because Airbnb is just a more popular name. And quite honestly, it sounds cooler, right? And I'm a millennial, I'm 23, so I like to go with the cooler version, right? So first off, I want to tell you my story. So I started real estate. First off, I've always been super entrepreneurial. And, you know, I didn't pay much attention in high school. I was very smart, always getting good grades in elementary school, but in high school, going into high school, the summer going in there, I started watching MTV and Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory. But it's about this pro skateboarder, business guy, living this crazy lifestyle, making tons of money, doing crazy business in Los Angeles. And I was like, that is cool. And from a small town in Saskatchewan, I was like, I don't want to have a normal job. I want to be a business owner and do crazy things. So I stopped paying attention in school, barely graduated, and then out of high school, right, I was like, I'm ready. I am going to make some money. I'm going to build crazy businesses. I was just so fired up and ready to be done high school. And right out of high school, I was first off selling cars because I needed to have a job. You know, if I wasn't going to school, I had to do something. So I was selling cars, and while I was doing that, I then wanted to get into real estate. And I got into real estate because myself and my friend Bailey, who's my business partner on my deals, we sat down and literally were Googling ways to get rich. And one of the biggest ones that popped up was designing an app, but I'm not a tech person. And the next one was inheritance or a lottery winnings, and I wasn't, you know, betting on that. And then the next thing was real estate. So what we do, we started getting into real estate. And what we did is we hired a bunch of coaches and mentors. Really, you know, long story short, by the age of 17 to the age of 22, I closed on over 7 apartment buildings, over $12 million in real estate. Like literally my first ever piece of real estate that I owned was a brand new 12-unit apartment building, $1.5 million, $400,000 down payment. And at that point, I never even had a credit card. You know, I had about $200 in my checking account, and I lived at home in my parents' basement. So like, I wasn't even paying any bills. I didn't have a phone bill, nothing, right? And I was buying an apartment building, right? So, I mean, I never let my age or, you know, my lack of resources affect what I've wanted. And now I get to help other people do that as well through my consulting company, and I absolutely love it. And then what happened was we just kept on buying apartment buildings. But then I got bored because I thought about Rob Dyrdek again, you know, Los Angeles, like traveling around, doing this crazy adventurous stuff. And I was like, I'm tired of being in Saskatchewan, just buying buildings. It's getting boring. So I got in my car and drove down to Scottsdale, Arizona, and started picking up Airbnbs. And instead of buying them, because I know how, buying is, getting a mortgage, getting the down payment, going through all this paperwork, especially in a different country, is insane. I was like, how about I just lease these things? What if I just rented it from a landlord, then threw it up on Airbnb, and I would just keep the difference that I made? And that's exactly what I did. I went down to Scottsdale, and not really much of a plan, just kind of went. And sure enough, got a property. It was $1,400 a month rent, signed a year lease, paid the landlord the rent, and then we put it up on Airbnb. In that first month, it brought in about $3,600. So right then and there, we're making almost like, $1,500, $2,000 profit. I mean, we had some expenses and stuff, but I was like, whoa, this was really quick cash. If I was to go and buy a single family home, I'm lucky to get I'd have to put $30,000 of the down payment, and then I'd be lucky to get a couple $100, maybe $500 a month cash flow from it. Yes, you're getting mortgage pay down, equity, and all that kind of stuff, but I wanted quick cash because I know that a lot of the long-term real estate doesn't get you quick cash. And once I used this system with renting and putting on Airbnb, made a quick $1,000, $1,500, I was like, I got to do more of this. So then I went on a crazy journey, started picking up Airbnbs all over the place, all the way in Eastern Canada, Western Canada, Scottsdale, all the way in Costa Rica, like 3 countries, just went crazy with it. And on top of that, we went and got a hotel using the same strategy. So I know I forget your name, but the photographer in Edmonton, you were talking about maybe even doing like a resort. That's exactly what we've done. And we continue to do, and we've got to enjoy the properties. And the best part is too, is I have a lot of systems, so Cindy, you can see all the stuff she's talking about. This isn't a simple process, but thankfully I have a team under me where I'm 100% hands off on the operation side of my business, and all I got to do is grow it. And fast forward now, I'm currently back in Canada. Obviously, because COVID, we took a big hit down in Costa Rica. And what we're doing up here in Calgary is we're actually doing a combination between what James was talking about, what Cindy was talking about, what I'm talking about. We're actually going to be purchasing apartment buildings downtown Calgary. We're looking at purchasing 4 in the next year, close to $12 to $13 million in apartment buildings, and doing half Airbnb, half long-term, mid-term rentals. So we're actually going to combine, the leasing strategy, the Airbnb strategy, as well as the purchasing strategy as well. Because I personally think if they all come together, it's like best case scenario, right? So that's enough of my story. I want to dive into this now. Here's some of the units. So this is not nearly as many as we've had, but I just wanted to show a few photos I can get. If you look in the top left, there's a resort there in Jaco, Costa Rica. These buildings are called Jaco Bay. We had 3 units there. And then to the right, there's a green little villa, a white villa in Costa Rica. And then on the middle left, there's another villa in Costa Rica. And right in the middle, the blue shipping container. We actually, beside it was a green one and an orange one. We actually had all 3. It was a shipping container community in Costa Rica. And there's a music festival that goes on. And there was sometimes we were renting them out for almost $350 a night. And each one, like that blue container, was renting for $350 a night during this 2-week music festival. And our expenses on that thing was only $650 per month. So look at the margins when we're talking about that. And if you look on the right, there's that beautiful resort there. That was in Scottsdale. Bottom right is Calgary. And then as we go to the left, there's also Calgary, Uvita, Costa Rica, and Scottsdale, Arizona. Once again, so we've been all over the place. You can see we've had all types of different properties, from shipping containers to luxury condos to villas in the middle of a jungle on a mountainside. I mean, we've done it all. And my favorite project, you guys, which is near and dear to my heart, is Cube City. Cube City was a digital nomad retreat, okay? It was a co-work, co-live community in Costa Rica. It was where digital nomads came, got to hang out, do their work. And then across the street, we had an office space that people can work at, right? So you get to work and play. It was absolutely amazing. We had great success, but unfortunately things went south when COVID happened. Our launch date was, we took over January 1st. We redid the whole thing. And our launch date was March 17th. And sure enough, we were so excited, but then all of a sudden we were on a plane ride back home to Canada because everyone needed to get home ASAP. The government was like, you got to get out of here. And tourism down there is completely shot for at least the next 6 months to a year. And we unfortunately couldn't work out a good deal with the landlord. So we had to walk away. But that's the benefits of this leasing strategy, because we really didn't lose much money, right? Other than a damage deposit. It's not like we bought this thing. So what we get to do now is take this concept and our team, and now we're just gonna do it in Calgary. And you bet you will see me back down in Costa Rica once the market picks up there, and we're gonna go back down and do the same thing. But I want to show you guys this project because you can do this on bigger properties as well. And this was like my funnest thing. I love this. You can even see we had a full-on team, right? It was awesome. We had Jake, who's my business partner and girlfriend. We had Levi, our head administrator, Veronica, our receptionist, and Mari, our amazing housekeeper. Such an amazing team. And we get to actually use everyone on this team, basically, other than our housekeeper, of course, Mari, moving forward on other projects, right? So we got to build an amazing team, because this isn't just about making money. It's also about building a team, building relations, having fun together. And if you look, we're all young. We're actually all everywhere from 23 to 27 running this thing. So it's absolutely amazing having us young people go and do this. And then what we did is we did a lot of cosmetic upgrades, you guys can see, right? You see on the left is the old reception room, on the right is the new one. And if you look here on the left, there was like the west platform, very plain. Then later we updated it, made it look super cool, a lot of painting, all millennial-like, you know? And this was the co-work. So the co-work was awesome, you guys. This is an empty office, and we just made it a really cool shared office space. And you'll see there, it says, jobs fill your pocket, but adventures fill your soul. And you guys, during this music festival, it's a really big music festival. It's called Envision down in Uvita. Like 10,000 people come every year. We had people that would be out at the party until 5 a.m. And then at 6, they would come into the co-work and be on a Zoom call for their jobs back in the US. It was hilarious. And people were loving it. You know, it was something brand new and people loved it. And we used the leasing strategy with this too. We leased the office, then sold memberships and made money on it, right? And we actually had this on Airbnb Experiences. That's a whole other thing about Airbnb Experiences, but you can book time out there as an experience co-working in Costa Rica. And then here's some guest reviews. And my favorite part about this is like literally there's people on here, like you can screenshot this, look at them later, but it just feels so good having guests come to our place, really enjoying it. Like you'll see like the people running this place have put their heart into everything at Cube, can definitely tell, yada, yada, yada. And look we have people from the Netherlands, Texas, Keaton, my good friend Keaton. He might even be on this webinar. I love Keaton. Keaton from Regina, and then we also had a David from Toronto. And those are just a few of the reviews, right? But it was really cool how we got to have that. And if you guys want to, you can follow our Instagram page, Cube City. It's that middle one there. Hashtag stay with Cube. It hasn't been active for the past couple months, but now that we are expanding in Calgary, you start seeing some more things pop up on there. So now you might be thinking, okay, Tyler, you've been talking about you, right? And you've done all this, but what about us, right? What about other people? Are other people able to go to other countries and do this, or do you have to be a professional doing it full time and be an expert? What about doing a hotel, right? And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to. I have helped personally hundreds of people do this same thing, okay? People that either have little real estate experience and some that have no real estate experience at all. And I want to show you some people here. So in the top left, we have Carter and Gina. They're absolutely amazing. Carter, actually, he might even be on this, just recently moved out to Edmonton. And him and Gina are business partners, as well with Keaton as well. I couldn't fit his photo on here. Keaton, I'm sorry if you're watching this. But they ended up getting some units with us. They really liked expanding into Airbnb. And if you look to the right, those two handsome young gentlemen, those are Evan and Anthony, 18 and 21 years old. Right? No real estate experience. They worked with me for 4 days. And then on the 5th day, they ended up getting a unit in Calgary. Like, talk about going from 0 to 100 like really quick. And the unit's doing awesome. They just did that last month. And then in the top right, you'll see Kai. And in the bottom left, you'll see Laura, the same backgrounds. They are from Estonia, Europe. And they, within their first 30 days of working with me, got 5 Airbnb units, and they had no experience in real estate as well. And Mitch, I got to tell you about Mitch. He's one of my best friends. He got a unit in Calgary last summer, and he didn't even have to come here. We helped him. We onboarded our team to him, and we even went to the property and helped him set it all up. And he didn't have to come to Calgary, and he was making money getting bookings. And on the bottom right, we have Spencer and Tyler. They're from Seattle and San Diego. and they're absolutely crushing it. And now they're doing the same thing, you guys. They ended up getting 5 units, and now they're switching over to multifamily and buying these assets and doing Airbnb at them. All of these people started this because it's low risk. You get to know the basics of real estate, and then you can start scaling into bigger deals, okay? So today's action plan. I'm first off going to talk about the concept of this Airbnb and what exactly I'm doing in my model. I'm going to talk about the process. And of course, I'm going to talk about the profits. I'm going to talk about the numbers, right? I mean, I love real estate and I love going on vacation, but I don't just do this for fun, right? I got to make sure we're making some money. So here we are with Airbnb and vacation rentals, okay? I'm going to talk about the what, the why, and show you an example. So what are vacation rentals? Vacation rentals, you'll see in the top right there, short-term rental, STR. A vacation rental is really just a short-term rental. Like I mentioned, I've got properties. This one's in downtown Calgary. I've got properties in downtown Calgary, right? Ottawa, Scottsdale, and on a beach in Costa Rica, and even on a mountainside in Costa Rica, okay? So I have truly vacation rentals, but then I also have, you know, Airbnbs more so where it's business people, family coming into town, all these different things, right? But to really ease it up, a vacation rental or Airbnb is just a place where someone's going to have a short-term stay. Now, by short-term stay, it's anywhere from 30 days or less, but sometimes we do get, you know, multiple bookings where it's for like 2 months, 3 months during the slow season, but most definitely not during busy season, because during busy season, our pricing is so high per night. If someone wants to book it up for a month, it would cost a fortune. Now, property type. There's many different property types. You know, like I said, you know, there's villas, there's condos, there's houses, there's hotels, right? What I like to do is whatever market I'm going into, that's what kind of property I'll figure out I want. So if you're going into Calgary, I'll tell you right now, 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom condos are the hottest in Calgary because people are coming for Stampede. People are coming for business when the winter comes. It's slower season. You're getting people that want 1- and 2-bedroom condos, okay? A house, not so much. I mean, they're gonna do great, right? Houses do great here as well, but to be completely honest with you, the majority of people that are coming, they just want a condo to stay in while they're downtown. They go to these different areas, they go to Stampede, they're in and out of the condo, right? Whereas in Costa Rica, we had a lot of luck with these villas, these standalone houses. It was awesome. People wanted their own space. They don't want to be in a condo. They want to have their own pool and have their own everything, right? So it all depends on property type, where you're actually looking. And there's people, you guys, that even Airbnb campers and even Airbnb tents and campsites. You can Airbnb anything and everything you could imagine. And the next thing, you guys, is leasing. Like James said, we aren't buying these. Well, now we're getting into buying, right? But the beauty of this is what we're doing is leasing. So we're approaching landlords and we're saying, hey, your property's for rent for $2,000. We'd love to rent it from you. We are better than a normal tenant. And the reason is we're a professional company. We're gonna make sure we pay on time. We also have great referrals. And we actually have professional cleaners entering your property 2 to 3 times per week. So your property is actually gonna be more cared for. Also, the guests that stay at our properties is gonna be lower use on the stove, microwaves, and dishwashers because they're typically not using those appliances, right? And our landlords are very happy because here's the thing, you guys, I'm a landlord, right? 86 units, over 12 million with apartment buildings. Those properties, you guys, we have some tenants that sign a year lease and they never clean. When they move out at the end of the year, the unit's disgusting. We've got to repaint, rip out carpets, right? And there's nothing we can really do about that because they are protected by the tenancy laws. I mean, I can go into all the tenancy laws like crazy, but you know, where I would much rather have at my apartment buildings, people that are doing Airbnb because I know it's gonna be professionally done. It needs to be spick and span, it needs to be spotless 24/7. Quite honestly, I'm gonna admit it, my Airbnb properties are a lot cleaner than the property I personally live in. Because guess what? I don't get my personal property professionally cleaned once or twice a week. Absolutely not, right? These properties are absolutely spotless, and landlords actually are reaching out to us because they want to find a good, stable tenant that's going to take really good care of their property. So like I said, now you're probably thinking, well, how do you lease it and still make money? Well, what you do is you run your numbers, right? You run your numbers on thinking, okay, what is the average occupancy for the area? And also what is the average daily rates, the nightly rates? Then you got to run your formulas. I actually have a full analysis sheet. If anybody wants it, let me know at the end of this or put in the comments and I can email it out to you guys. I have a full analysis sheet. I also got some videos on Facebook telling you how to do that. I'm not going to get into that now. And you can actually figure out how much you're making. Now, the next thing is you're probably like, why don't landlords do it themselves? The reason they don't do it themselves is A, it's too much work. B, they don't know how to do it. And C, they're scared, right? It's too much risk, right? But us, What we are is we're professionals. We have a team in place that knows how to handle and do all this. So we go in there with comfort and able to do that. Now, some landlords, right, they don't at all want this. Some we got to convince. We also have a document called Why Rent to Us. It's a 2-page PDF that actually explains why the landlord should rent to us and the benefits of renting to us rather than a random tenant. And if you also want that, comment, message, or I don't know, we'll figure something out at the end of this call. And I can send that over to you as well. So the next thing, why vacation rentals? The number one thing is low startup costs, you guys. Like Evan and Anthony, they went and got that unit with their damage deposit, first month's rent, and like it was already furnished. It was a furnished rental. So I think they ended up spending maybe $3,500, $4,000 and they got a unit, right? Look at in Scottsdale, that first unit I got, you guys, was fully furnished. So all I had to do was put $1,400 down for a damage deposit and $1,400 for the first month's rent. And I was already making $1,500 cash flow on that. So you can see how you can start making some really good cash, right? Yes, you can go in and furnish it and you know, it's gonna cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to do that. You guys, there's so many furnished condos out there, it's ridiculous. We go all the time to get furnished condos. There was even one in Scottsdale. It was previously an Airbnb and the guy was just sick and tired of it. It was like a full-time job. He was checking in the guests, he wasn't, no systems, and he put it up for rent. And we called, we're like, hey, I see this thing. You know, we want this. And he didn't even make us put down a damage deposit. So all we had to do is put $1,750 for the first month's rent. And it was already fully stocked and everything. And we started making money right away. And we had an income producing property. How awesome is that? The next thing is it is low risk. Worst case scenario, you lose your damage deposit. In Costa Rica, we had to give up a lot of our units, you guys, right? Because here's the thing, some landlords are willing to help us out and some were like, no, you got to continue paying us even though there's a pandemic and nobody can even get into the country. In Calgary and Ottawa, we still had tons of bookings because people needed to quarantine in their bigger cities. In Costa Rica, it was completely dead. It's zero, right? It was really bad and really unfortunate what happened down there with COVID. But at the end of the day, we just walked away. We lose our damage deposit. Who cares? Where if we would have bought those properties and we would have had, vendor financing or something in place, we would have been burning cash right now and continue to do that. And the next thing is too, is that it's low risk, is that let's say you're new to real estate and you just want to get your feet wet and get experience. And you go out and buy a house right now. A, you got to take on that mortgage. B, you got to put a bunch of money down. And C, if you mess up, there's a lot of money involved and it can be very costly. Whereas an Airbnb is low money in, you can easily walk away from a lease, get someone else to take over the lease. Like your worst case scenario is not nearly as bad, right? And that's coming from a guy that has like mortgages, like you would not believe how much, real estate I have, and risk and all that. That's coming from me, right? I personally, yes, buy real estate. Like you need to buy it. But at the end of the day, this is just an option for people at the beginning. Get their feet wet or just to have fun and test markets. That's what we did. That's why we went to Scottsdale. We went out east to Ontario. That's why we went to Calgary, Costa Rica. We were testing all these markets by just renting these properties. And then what we found out is Costa Rica as well as Calgary are our #1 producers. Calgary actually is #1, Costa Rica is #2. That's how powerful Calgary is. Year round, it's so good. And with Stampede, we make a killing, right? So then what we do is after our year leases are up in some of these places, we just don't renew it. We made some money, we get our damage deposit back, we move the furniture or they were already furnished units, and then we just go and put that money where we know is good. And then what started happening is we realized how good Calgary was, and we have real numbers to back that data. We're now giving up our leases here, and now we're putting all this money into buying an apartment building and doing Airbnb ourselves, right? So there's a lot of power behind that, and there's a lot of low risk. And the next thing is quick cash. This is not a get rich quick. It's not like you're like wholesaling real estate where it's like, hey, you find a good deal, you can write yourself a check for 50K. No. But what it is, hey, you can make an extra $1,000 a month within the next 2 weeks, to be completely honest with you. You maybe make an extra $2,000 a month. Now imagine if you went and got 5 properties, now it's at $5,000 a month. That's exactly what I did. And the best part is about the vacation rentals is it's recurring income. And you set up systems in place and get a virtual assistant like I have, then it becomes passive recurring income. Because I also have done real estate projects like fix and flips where it was quick cash, but it wasn't recurring. I was always working. It was like a job for me. Where now, these properties, once they're set up, it's just bookings. Cleaners are automated. Everything's automated. I'm 100% hands off. My virtual assistant handles everything. I don't gotta do anything. It's like the best thing ever, and it's a quick cash flow business. So I want to show you guys an example now, okay? So in the top left, bottom left, you'll see a unit in Calgary we have here. In 2019, it profited $14,590. Okay, so that property, right, it was already partially furnished. We probably put, oh, I can't remember exactly how much, you guys, maybe about $1,500 in, getting disposables, toilet paper, all that. We actually bought that couch and chair because the other couch and chair weren't as nice. And we bought all these, like a few other things. $1,500 we probably spent on that. In 2019, it brought in $14,590 profit. Now think to yourselves, right? This, we didn't have to get a mortgage, right? We simply, I mean, you guys have already all done this. You've obviously all rented a property before. We simply met the landlord. They loved the concept, loved the idea. Like, cool, rent, here you go. And then we ended up getting this thing listed within 2 days. Met the landlord, signed it, got everything set up, got our cleaners in there to give it one final clean, got photos, got it listed, started getting bookings on the 3rd day. That's how quick that happened. So now imagine and just start getting your mind turning. That's 1 unit making $14,590. Now imagine if you even just went out and got 5 units, which, you know, realistically, if you get furnished units, you can probably get 5 units with maybe $10,000. So if you're looking at $14,590 times that by 5 units, that's $72,950 per year. That might even surpass a lot of you guys' yearly income, and might even be at your yearly income. I actually have one of my good clients, Pat. He's on this call. He is going to be scaling to over 80 units next year. He's going to be leaving his high 6-figure a year job, going full time on this. That's how serious you can really add up this cash flow when you start getting more and more properties. And the beauty of this too, James can agree with this too, you can then start taking this money and start investing it and putting it into long-term rentals, right? Because the thing is, the only downside is in 5 years, you're not gonna be able to pull equity in this thing. You know what I mean, right? Maybe the landlord says, hey, at the end of this year, I'm not renewing to you because I have a different tenant or I'm moving back in, right? So that's why I personally believe this model is so good for 1 to 3 years. And then after that, start purchasing, right? Use that money and start investing for the long term to get that longevity. Because guess what? I look at my long-term real estate assets and I look about when these remortgages are coming up and like the long-term game of this, and I am so happy and I cannot wait for those, right? Whereas this, it's quick cash now, but I mean, you know, 5 years down the road on this particular unit, I don't know if we're gonna have it. I don't even know if we'll have it next year, right? But for right now, it's still providing really good, quick cash flow. All right. So I've talked about the concept. You're probably thinking, this looks a lot, this is very complicated, right? This is way over my head. There's no way I can do this, but I'm gonna show you right now exactly how you can do this. So first off, in the top left, the first thing, James talked about this as well, you need to educate yourself. The reason why I've gotten to where I've gotten, like where I am right now so quickly, I'm only 23, is because I have tons of coaches and mentors. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaches and mentors. I'm always getting coached by someone. I always have a mentor. If I want to learn something, I go to someone that's doing it, pay them money, and I learn it so that I can duplicate what's already there. You know, like, you know, don't reinvent the wheel. I get so many people that are like, oh no, I'm like reading the books or I'm watching some stuff online. That doesn't work, right? You know, it could take some time. Then you got to go out there. You got to go. You're at your own risk and all that. But imagine if you could just have your hand held and literally be like, hey, here's the mistakes I've made. I've done this for a while. This is how much success I've had and all the failures. Now let me guide you through this road so you can fast track your way to getting real estate. And that's what I've done. I didn't get lucky. I'm not no superhuman where when I was 17, 18, I just knew how to buy real estate. I got huge coaches and mentors, right? All the time. I had the multifamily coach and mentor, Airbnb coach and mentor. I got a personal development coach and mentor, business mentor, you know, hotel mentor. My consulting business has 2 mentors. You know, I got tons of people that I'm learning from because education is the most important thing, you guys. And if you want to truly change your life, you need to get educated, right? If you want to become a doctor, you go to school for how many years? That's mandatory. It's honestly the same if you want to take real estate as a professional, as a serious investor, you need to get educated. But if you're someone that just wants 1 or 2 units and just kind of go about that and make a little side income, then maybe you can get by with just reading the books, watching the stuff online. But if you want to do something serious like I've done, then you need to get heavily educated and take this as a profession. The next thing after you get educated is you need to analyze. You need to analyze the markets. You also need to analyze the deals. You need to know why are you going to that market, what are the profits and what are the margins that you're going to be getting. The next thing after you figure that out on what properties and what markets you want to get into, you need to call the landlords and you need to close the deal, right? You need to present them the opportunity. you know, get them on board with you doing Airbnb, and you also need to close the deal, negotiate, get them to throw in a free month's rent, right? Get them to throw in, you know, the internet or the utilities, get them, you know, move in early. We've done that too. Call and close. And then we go up to the top right, you need to set up the unit and then list it. So when you set it up, like, I am so sorry, I forget, I think it was, Crystal, I think I might have forgot your name, okay? Cindy, sorry, it's Cindy. Cindy, what she was talking about too, there's a lot that goes on behind that, and that's what we have. We have a full setup checklist that has exactly every single thing, from the Q-tips to the Netflix account to the spatulas to like the patio furniture. Like, we name it on our setup list, because what we want a guest to have even more things in the units than what they would have at their house. And the reason is, I've been to Airbnbs and they don't have anything, right? You're like, go to, you know, dry up your hair, you go to, you know, do, you know, even use shampoo, they barely got anything, right? We are professionals at what we do. So we have above and beyond board games, park passes, like you name it, we have it. And the next thing is listing it, right? Listing it on Airbnb. We're actually featured on multiple listings. We're Airbnb, bookings.com, TripAdvisor. The hotel was actually on 17 different websites, believe it or not, right? And our units typically are bookings.com, VRBO, and Airbnb. Now you're probably thinking, how do you manage that? We have a system called Your Porter, and what it does, it actually generates our listing and then boasts it out and connects the calendars onto all these different platforms. So we're not just on Airbnb. Airbnb is about 75% of our bookings. The other portion varies between VRBO and booking.com. And when it came down to the hotel, we did get a lot from TripAdvisor, Travelocity, and stuff like that. But Airbnb certainly is the biggest player. But we want to be everywhere, right? We don't just want to be on Airbnb. And then the next thing is systemized. Can you guys imagine if you had the amount of units I've had, and then you had like people, you know, messaging about the Wi-Fi, they didn't look at the welcome letter, who's sending this, what about this? And then also this person has a question about this. You know, it's all these different things. This person wants early check-in, late checkout, this needs more towels. Can you imagine that plus a hotel? How I did that? And how I did that is building a team. I have a virtual assistant who is like literally amazing. Her name is Miriam, and she runs the whole back end operations of our company. She does it to a T. She has so much stuff systemized. A lot of it is already automated. Someone right away checks in or books. Instantly a message gets sent to them. Thanks for booking. Here's the welcome letter. An hour before check-in. Hey, here's this. Boom. Hey, one day before they check out. Hey, don't forget, you got to check out by this time. Hour before they check out. Hey, just making sure you're ready to check out. We have other guests or cleaners and you get in there. Our cleaners are systemized. Everything is systemized because let me tell you, we had 2 units in Scottsdale, didn't have any systems, and I've managed tons of buildings, right? Before I went down there, I was also property managing all the apartment buildings I own. And it was over 86 units. And we actually managed other people's in Regina as well. We're over 120 units we're managing. Let me tell you, 2 Airbnbs was more work and more headaches and more craziness than over 120 long-term rental units. And I'm serious with that. So when you think about how you want to scale, make more money, you got to have those systems in place, which leads to the next portion, scale, right? Why only settle for $1,000 extra a month? Why not go and get more and more units? And to do that, you need to have the team in place. And after scale, you simply just go back up to analyze, right? Once you do this, you just keep on doing it. It's this like a perfect circle. Analyze, call and close, set up and list, systemize, scale. Analyze, call and close, set up and list, systemize, and scale. It's literally this simple, you guys. And Evan and Anthony, these 2 young guys, I have a picture of them. There's us, picture of us, and that's at their unit here in Calgary. It's doing great. You can book it right now if there's any availability. And they're absolutely killing it. These guys are 18, 21 years old. They came to me, they're like, we want to get into real estate. We want to start getting into this. Were electricians, knew nothing in real estate, and they wanted to get into this, right? They didn't have much money, but they were like curious about this. And they first off educated themselves, right? We sat down, we went over all the different stuff, all the different operations, everything. They hustled through all of it. And next thing you know, they ended up getting a unit, right? That quick. So if they can do it, you guys can for sure do it as well. It's not rocket science, but you need to know the systems behind this, analyzing the right deals, right? How to analyze, how to find, how to call. It's very easy when you have all these steps. Without these steps, you're gonna run around with your head chopped off, because that was me before, right? That was before I went and found some advice. So Evan and Anthony, I'm so proud of these guys. They're absolutely killing it. If you guys are watching this, I'm very proud of you guys. And they said they're giving me a run for my money with the whole Young Gun name. They said they're gonna outbeat me with units. So we got a little friendly competition going on. And then the next one, I know he's on this call, Pat and Deidre. They're an amazing couple. And yes, they have the most cutest, beautiful, fluffy dogs in the world. They're absolutely amazing, these people, right? They're so motivated. They found out about me in March. And originally, Pat was just gonna invest. Pat and Deidre were like, hey, we're just gonna invest. And then all of a sudden, once COVID hit, you know, he was like, hey, like, I kind of want to learn more about this. And he started learning more about it. And he was like, why should I invest when I can just do it myself? And here's one of their units they just set up. They just set up 2 units last week in Penticton. And later on, you guys, these 2 units are actually getting destroyed. And there's going to be a 16-unit apartment building that they're going to be doing Airbnb at and managing. Talk about scalability. These people are absolutely went from 0 to like 100 really, really quick. And they're going to be getting a ton of units in Calgary, and they're absolutely crushing it. And same thing, like if Pat was to think that, you know, what was it, 6 months ago, that he would have Airbnb units, his own Airbnb units, and be looking at doing this huge project and get all these ones in Calgary and eventually leaving his job, he would probably tell you it's insane, but it's true, right? This is not rocket science. Real estate in general is not rocket science, but you need to make sure you're well educated, right? So if all these people can do it, you can do it as well, right? And the next thing is, you guys, is I know there's gonna be some questions, but I also want to extend an invite to have a strategy call with myself. And what a strategy call is with me, it's a 30-minute phone call with me, and you can book it at the link calendly.com/Tyler Hassman. Take a screenshot, type it in somewhere, and you can book a call with me for Thursday, tomorrow, or Friday. I have 2 days that are open up. I've opened my calendar for this to answer a bunch of questions. Book it in between those 2 days. And if you can't in those 2 days, send me a message on Facebook and we can figure out another time that might work. But what we're going to do on the strategy call, right? What exactly is this? Like I said, it's a 30-minute call, and I promise you it's going to be one of the most valuable calls you've had with a speaker before, right? A lot of times you get on with the speaker and there's no way you can contact them or anything like that. I want to be like full out there for you guys, give you 30 minutes of my time and really individually go through your goals. I want to figure out, what are your goals with real estate? Do you want to get 1 unit? Do you want to get 10? Do you want to get 15? Do you want to travel more? Some people might not want to be like, hey, Tyler, I don't want to make tons of money. I love my job, but I want to travel more. We can do that. You know, we've helped people, even in Costa Rica, there's times when people want to get a unit, right? And then during the music festival, this big music festival that went on, the amount of money they would make from that 2-week music festival would almost pay for the full year rent at these properties. That's like the crazy margins down there. So imagine that, having a rental property down there that you don't even got to pay for, you make money on while you get to go enjoy it. So I really want to dive in with your goals. And the next thing is I'm going to build a roadmap with you, a one-on-one roadmap that's specifically designed for you to go, what are you struggling with right now? And how do we overcome that? And how can I help you get to where you want to go? Whether it be 1 unit, a bunch of units in different countries, wherever that be. And then we're going to create an action plan, a step-by-step action plan to get you started on that roadmap so you can then reach your goals. Okay? So I already see that somebody booked a call, so thank you. That was very, very efficient. And there is quite a bit of spots, you guys. But like I said, Thursday and Friday, they would be the best because, I mean, like I said, I'm personally have a lot of deals going on. I got a lot going on in my life, but I absolutely want to give as much value as possible to you guys because I've seen what Airbnb has done in my life. I've seen what it's done in other people's lives, like Pat and Deidre, Evan and Anthony, Carter, Gina, all these other people. I've seen what it's done in their life, and I want to help you guys as well. And more so, just real estate in general. If you're someone that was like, hey, this vacation stuff is cool, but wait, Tyler, you're telling me you bought $12 million in real estate using none of your own money or credit. How on earth did you get that? Forget about the vacation rentals. Like, tell me about that. You know what I mean? And I would love to tell you about that too. I mean, like I said, I want to help as many people out as possible, share my story, and see how I can help you. And I see 3 more people with books and calls. Okay, that's awesome. You guys are action takers. So that's really good. And I'll post this link in the chat so we can get to some questions here. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. I know I got lots of energy. I was probably just screaming at the screen for a good 45 minutes, but I mean, like, that's just me. I'm very, very passionate about this. So thank you guys so much for watching this.
Awesome, Tyler. Thank you for sharing your story. But I think that some people are going to have some questions to get into a little more of the details of the how-to.
Yes.
So let's see if we can drive a little more value and answer some of these people's questions and get into the how-to of what you're doing and how you're doing it. So let's see
Absolutely.
what kind of questions we've got here. Let's see here. How do you analyze your property? So that's a great question from Chantel.
Yes.
You know, can you maybe actually walk us through your analysis process here?
Yes, I would absolutely love to. I'm going to quickly share my screen. I'm going to show you guys a 12-month analysis sheet. Is that okay, James, if I do that?
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what I think everybody wants to see, is just a little more detail on the how-to. That's fabulous. So if you could share that, we'd really appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to share my screen because there'll be some questions I get to zip through you guys, but I know this one was a big one. And the analysis sheet that I'm going to send out to everyone is going to be a simpler one. This one's a little bit more complicated. Later on, I can give you this, but you won't need that right now. Okay, so I'm not going to get into details because it could take all out like a full hour, okay? But essentially what this is, if you look at the green portion, it's unit information. And in the unit information, we have the monthly rent, and we also have the average daily rate of comparables, the average high end and the average low end. Because guess what? When you go on Airbnb, it's not $69 or $70 a night throughout the whole year. You have high end and low end. Lower on Mondays, higher on Saturdays. You know, winter's lower than summer. There's all these different things. And now where do we get those numbers from? We actually go on Airbnb. You'll see here, similar Airbnb. We have 10 of them. And we actually get the data from that. So we see we go to their page and we see what their lowest price is and what the highest price they have is. So we actually go right to the listing and figure that out. We also look at what their occupancy is as well. And keep in mind, this is an example spreadsheet if you look on the top. So some of these numbers might have been messed with from one of my clients or something, but you guys get the point of it, okay? And if you look here, we also talked about the initial setup cost, so if it costs some money there, and then we go into the rent. You'll see $650 a month rent. This is obviously a Costa Rica unit. Obviously, you can't get anything good for rent in Canada for that. But Costa Rica can get awesome stuff. So rent plus utilities is $200. Management fee, we're managing this for a client, so it was at 20%. But let's say we take that out and put 0. Let's say you were doing it yourself and you didn't have somebody managing it. There's that. And so the nut, which is like all your expenses, $800, okay? Now, that's just like your unit information. Now, if we go to the top right, you'll see vacancy rates. What this is obviously how often is your place booked up? Now, you're probably thinking, okay, well, Tyler, what about low season, right? This is Costa Rica. So obviously in the summertime, like June, July, August, September, October, isn't it like slower? And isn't it way busier in the winter time? Well, guess what? Our average occupancy rate or vacancy rate, occupancy, sorry, that should say occupancy. As you can tell, I get mixed up because I'm also in, long-term real estate investing where we talk about vacancy rates rather than occupancy rates. Well, I at least do. But anyways, for the occupancy rates, right, on average, we're at 87%, 87.8% throughout the year. That's why we have 88% on there. Because here's the thing. I'll give you guys an example. In Calgary, right, during December and January of last year, a lot of our units were booked up for the whole month, right? Because the pricing was lower. So people are like, hey, I need to stay for the whole month, right? Cindy was talking about that as well, right? Had someone here for 2 months. So technically, your occupancy is 100%. Where during Stampede last year, we had 4 days of July empty. Now you're probably thinking, how did you have it empty during Stampede and during the summer? Because we only allow 2-night bookings. If you want to book one night, don't book at our properties. I don't want to take the risk of someone throwing a party, right? I do not do that. So what would have happened is somebody booked a Saturday and checked out on a Monday, and then somebody booked for Tuesday and then was checking out later, right? So then technically that Monday night, nobody was staying at it. So our vacancy rate was actually down. So our pricing actually adjusts, which makes our occupancy rate throughout the year very consistent, okay? We've never gone a month with no bookings, obviously. A lot of people get scared about that. And on average, throughout all of our markets, we're on an 87.8 or 9, whatever it was, % occupancy rate, okay? So these stay the same. Now, if we go down here at the Performa, we have our average daily rent, our high rent, and our low rent. Now, what this does, right, is you'll see expected rent for January is $3,246. So what it does is this sheet actually will take the high rent and multiply it by 88% occupancy for January, and that spit out 3,246. Our expenses are 800 because utilities and rent. And then this was managed by my company. Okay. So I also have a management company as well, and I manage other people's units. So anyways, we took a 20% fee on that. So this particular unit would cash flow, like profit in your pocket, $1,797. Now, if we go through all these months, they all look pretty much similar. Then you'll see, obviously, the occupancy rate is still the same, 88%, but in May, June, July, August, the numbers are a lot lower. It's because we're charging $39 a night because it's the off season in Costa Rica. We can't get the high rent from it, right? But we're still gonna get people that come. And then as you go here, look at September, October, November, we're barely getting by, right? And that happens sometimes. There's times, you guys, Scottsdale, there was one unit, it brought in $8,000 on it, and the rent was like $2,200. It brought in $8,000 the 1 month. But guess what? In the slow season, the 1 month, we ended up losing $1,000 on this 1 month because one person canceled their like freaking 2-week booking and then nobody else booked it, right? And that happens, right? But that's okay because throughout the year, we're making a ton of money on it. And you'll see this particular property, I don't have a photo for it. I don't know which one it is, you guys. I imagine it was one of like our smaller villas being at $650. But as you can see throughout the year, this one would make $8,164. Now, this one, if it was furnished, we're furnishing these little villas for about like $3,500. And then the damage deposit would have been $650, and the first month's rent would have been $650. So that is a total of $4,790. So you would have put down $4,790. You would have brought in $8,100. So you would have profited half that because minus your expenses. So your first year you would have made $4,000, and then the next year, you know, you'd be projected to make the same thing. So now that's one unit, right? And what you could do is we were in Costa Rica for a full year. Throughout the year, it's amazing weather, but obviously during high season, January, February, March, it's like not a single cloud, beautiful weather, where all the rest, it rains a little bit. What you could do is for June, July, August, or even, hey, look at this. Take the family down there. What's $487 profit? You know, you go down there, stay at the property. Even for November, go live it there for 2 months, right? Your expenses are $650 a month. You times that by 2 months, it'd be $800, sorry, with utilities. That's $1,600 for 2 months. Where else can you do that? I know people that go to Costa Rica for a weekend and barely even spend $1,650 on units. You know what I mean? So that's a quick overview of the analysis sheet. We just basically pull real data from Airbnb. Another thing that you guys can use is you can go to AirDNA.co. What AirDNA.co is, it's a website that actually pulls real data from Airbnb and all these booking channels and gives you a bunch of different stuff. Now, beware. It is not that accurate. There are times that, you know, it's pulling wrong listings, or it's showing you the best units or showing you the worst units. And you want to make sure you're pulling good comparables, because there's a lot of amateurs that are doing this in Calgary, and it looks like their photos on their listing is from like a flip phone. You know what I mean? So if that person's empty and charging $39 a night in the same building, but I have professional photos, right? And I'm doing this professionally and I'm charging $120, I'm not going to base my numbers off someone that's not doing it the right way. So you also want to put that into account as well. So I hope that answers that. I can send out some spreadsheets to you guys and dive further into that, but that was a quick overview. We basically pull data from other units and we see what the different occupancy is. And what's the website for Airbnb data? I'm going to put it in there. Let's see. I need to make sure it's to all panelists. And okay, I don't know why it's not letting me type, but Air, so AIR and then DNA.co. AirDNA.co.
There was another really good question about needing a working permit in the United States, and then
yes,
we can segue that into tax implications for doing business in the States and in other countries like Costa Rica, for example. How does that work?
Yes, absolutely. So first off, when it comes down to working down there, we're not technically working down there, right? We own a business and we're managing partners in the business, okay? So we're not actually like active people working there. And that's the advice we got from our immigration lawyer, right? We always make sure we have an immigration lawyer or really, really good accountants. And same thing with accountants. We're finishing one of our first year ends with all of the properties in all these different areas, right? So that's where there are some more tax implications, right? With bringing money over here, bringing money over there. But a lot of the times we're leaving money in these different areas, leaving it in say the US, leaving it in Costa Rica and reinvesting and doing different projects, right? But when we do say transfer or anything, that's where my accountants, same thing like Cindy, I get the accountants to handle all of that, right? But at the end of the day, right, what we have done in the past year is gotten these profits, seen what markets work best, and then now we've taken these profits and we're in the process of dispersing them into these different countries, whether it's, hey, let's put all in Costa Rica, let's keep it in the US. We really want to make sure where we keep that money, right? Now, the next thing is you're probably thinking, okay, now what about if, let's say, Charmaine, I love Charmaine, she's on here. Let's say Charmaine was like, hey, Tyler, but because I do this strictly as a business, right? So I'm okay with not seeing some profits from a unit, putting it down there and reinvesting because I got other income streams, all this other stuff. I'm trying to build something bigger here. But let's say Charmaine's like, hey, I want to get one unit in Scottsdale, right? And I want to make sure that I can collect that money. At that point, right, you would then want to talk to a cross-border accountant. And by that, I would love for people to go to Grant Thornton. They're amazing, right? That's who I use. I use Grant Thornton. It's big, they're massive. They're in Costa Rica, US, and in Canada, and they can actually help you with that, right? With claiming that income, also bring the money back over, and where if you need to have the corporation set up, or if you only have a few units, you don't need to, and you can have it as investment income. There's a lot of different complications with that, and I'm not like the best genius at that. I leave that up to my team, but I hope that clears that answer. And then the next answer, like I'll go over that. We are not actively working, right? We are running a business. So it's a lot different than actually actively doing it, right? And here's the thing, if you're going down to get 1 or 2 units on your own, you're doing all the work. I mean, like what, they're not gonna, like just do it. You're not gonna get arrested. You know what I mean? Be cautious, obviously, but it's not like you're taking someone's job, right? You're investing down there and you're doing it safe on your own. So you're able to do that as well. But number one thing, no matter where you're going, every time I went down to the States, every time I went down to Costa Rica, first thing I did, talk to an accountant, talk to a lawyer. First thing, no matter what. Because a lot of you probably don't know, in Costa Rica, you can only be there for 90 days. Then you got to leave and come back and get another 90-day visa. In the United States, you're only allowed 180 days out of a rolling calendar year, and that's it. They're very strict. So like getting a visa was a whole other story. So I only had 180 days, and I had to get out and wait another 180 days before I can go back in. Costa Rica, every 90 days, we'd have to go to Panama, stamp out, and stamp back into Costa Rica. So there's a lot of different things that you want to look into this because, we were looking at Italy and Greece. Same thing there. You're only allowed 90 days out of a certain calendar year or something. We're like, okay, if we're going there, we can't mess around for 2 months trying to figure this out. We need to be prepared. We need to do as much work as we can here and then go there. Which leads me to another thing. If you guys are going, say, to Costa Rica, going somewhere to do this, do as much work as you can where you are right now. Because if you go down to Costa Rica, don't have much in plan, and you're just kind of going at it, you need to be down there for a while, right? And you're going to spend a lot of money trying to do that. Where if you already have units lined up, you have the numbers, and you literally have commitments signed with landlords, and it's like, okay, once we see it and everything is as you mentioned, then we'll sign and we'll list it, we'll get it ready. You can go there, quickly get it set up, and enjoy it, and then leave. Where what I have done and made the mistake is go somewhere. Then I had to find some units. I had to go and view all of them. And next thing you know, I was spending so much money staying at other people's Airbnbs, trying to get my own. And it was just dry. It was ridiculous, right? It was very stressful as well. Where if you pre-plan everything, talk to a lawyer, talk to an accountant, and all of that, I would highly, highly recommend that.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you don't want to burn up a whole chunk of your visa sitting around planning. So that's a great tip. Yeah. Well, let's see here. We're pushing 8 o'clock. The sun has set at Edmonton, so now I'm in the dark. Oh man. Well, you know what, Tyler? That was a fantastic presentation. I know everybody's very very, very excited and looking forward to booking some of those meetings with you to hear about the more specific points of your strategy.
Yep.
And then if you want to share those resources with us, we email all of the attendees after. So we'll make sure that
Perfect.
gets in touch with you. Thank you so
Yep.
much for sharing your story. It sounds like you've really turned something that's a lot of fun, which is travel, into a profitable business, which is just a fabulous way to go. I mean, it's a really, I think there's a lot of people that have a dream of doing something like that. And it's cool that you've created a system out of it. So thanks again for coming to Mogul Mastermind. It's the first time we've had you speak to our group. Hopefully not the last. And yeah, everybody, we are really, really looking forward to seeing you in person next month. It's the first time in a long time we'll be able to at least bump elbows. So looking forward to it. And again, Tyler, thanks again. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about vacation properties. Really appreciate Cindy's story, just making Airbnb a little more relatable for those of you that are thinking about starting, just sharing the journey of going through all the steps to get something set up. And of course, you know, if you're in a position where you're thinking of buying that cabin, that cottage, that piece of land, there's a lot to consider. And it's a really, you know, a lot of people think about that you know, that signature vacation property just as something for fun. But if you play your chips right, it really does become one of the, you know, crown jewel pieces of the family portfolio to help build that intergenerational wealth. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out. We appreciate you. You guys are awesome. You know, you could be doing a lot of things on a Wednesday night and you are learning about real estate, which I applaud you for, because just like Tyler said, and I completely agree, you know, part of mastering anything is educating. Part of mastering everything is taking action. So congratulations to all of you for educating, and I hope to see all of you take action soon. Hope you're having a good one, and that is it for Mogul Mastermind. We'll see you guys next time.